I'm Matt with eTrailer. Today we're going to be talking about the Buyer's Products Floodlight. Now, that's going to be great if you're at a campsite or you just need a little bit more light when you're on the road with either your smaller vehicles like your ATVs or UTVs or like our 4Runner today. So let's take a closer look at it. So this floodlight is going to lend itself to a lot of different applications. So like I said, you can adjust this to fit your needs. If you need a little bit more light in one direction, just make sure you tighten it back down. So if you're using it on the side of your vehicle like we are right now, it's going to be great if you're at the campsite or you're at a workstation. You just need to make sure you know where your tools are, you're not tripping over anything. Or if you are going off-roading, when you're getting back inside the vehicle, you can have this facing a little bit lower so you're not tripping over any rocks or your running boards. Now, of course, you can put it on the front of the vehicle, and I think that's going to be great if you have anything like an ATV or a UTV, since it is going to be a smaller bar. Now, if you have a 4Runner like we have today, or just a larger vehicle in general, then I'd recommend a longer light bar, since it's going to just light up your journey a little bit more. And speaking of that, we'd love to hear how you're using it or what type of vehicle you're using it with, whether it be a 4-wheeler or 4Runner. So we turned off the lights to give you guys a better look at how this is going to perform. And right now, this is doing great. So I have this at an angle. Like I said, this is going to be perfect if you're just working around somewhere. You're going to have plenty of light to see what you're doing. Now we can adjust this to fit our needs. And to show you how that's actually going to look, let's say I just want a little bit more light facing downwards when I'm getting into my vehicle. That's going to give you an idea of what it's going to look like. And there's going to be a lot of adjustability to this. This is going to be a little bit over 180 degrees. You can kind of see that going up on our wall some. And at this point, it's facing so high up, it's not even helping me at the moment, but that just gives you an idea of how far you can adjust this. So I turned the lights back on, and I wanted to take a close look at that adjustment so you guys can see that a little bit better. And you can tell that this has a lot of movement to it. And the way I have this mounted up is just going up and down, but if I wanted more of a specific angle, maybe at more of a 45-degree angle, or if I wanted this to be facing 90 degrees, I could do that pretty easily. All I would have to do is loosen up a bolt here, turn it, and then I could have it fit my needs. And that's what's nice about it. It also is going to depend on what type of surface you're mounting it to. So right now I have this mounted to my platform, but you can also mount this to your vehicle itself too. And finally, let's move over to the construction. So this is going to have 6 LEDs in here, and as you saw earlier, they do a good job. Now for the casing, there's a few things to note about this. We're going to have some heat sink on the back. That's going to make sure that this doesn't get too hot and keep your lights working properly. It's also going to be very well constructed, so you don't have to worry about any weather damage like water seeping in there, ruining your lights. And on top of that, this really is designed to work outside on your vehicle, so if you're doing any light off-roading, it's going to be able to absorb that shock and vibration without getting damaged. Overall, I think this is going to do a great job at sitting up here. Now, there are going to be other options of these smaller light bars, but this one has probably impressed me the most when it comes to just adjusting it. Now, getting it up here can be a little bit tricky sometimes, just because you do need to make sure you have access to the bolts, and you're going to have to change up your hardware depending on how it's mounting into place. But we talk about that a little bit in our video today, so if you're curious about that, just stay tuned. We'll walk you through it. So we're going to grab our bracket now. This is going to come with the light itself. All I did to get this free was remove the little bolt that goes into the side here that holds the light in place. Once you get both of those removed, what I'm doing is a little bit different because I'm mounting it to this bracket here, so I have specific hardware for it. It's really going to just depend on where you're mounting it for the hardware that you're going to need. But I'm going to put this up here first without the light because this gives me a little bit more room to work. Once that's in a relatively good point, hand tight, then I'll come back through with an Allen key to tighten it up the rest of the way. And now we can move over to actually putting the light on. I already kind of have mine mocked up. Now the way I did this was I just took one of the bolts that come with your kit. I mean, this little guy right here, and he's just holding it up there for the time being. What's going to happen though is you're going to have this little nut, and you're just going to connect them in there. Now the best way to do that is to come up here, and we're going to have this little hole right here, and that's where we're going to have that nut seat into place. And sometimes it's going to be a little tricky to get back in, but what I'll do is push that bolt through most of the way, and drop the nut in there afterwards. And this is going to be a pretty tight fit. If you just adjust that bolt a little bit, push that into place. There we have it. You should be able to get that lined up until it's applying pressure there. And then you just grab your Allen key and tighten it up. Once you have one side tightened down, then repeat that process on the other side. Now I'd recommend just leaving it just a tad bit loose, just so you can adjust it for the moment. Just enough for it to hold its place where it is. Once that's done, we can connect the wiring. Now the way I'm going to be doing this today is going to be using a 2-pole extender that I have right here. So this just becomes a plug-and-play system. Now you are going to have to splice into your wiring. So that wiring connecting to your battery, just make sure there's no power leading to that. And when you are connecting anything up here, I recommend using some heat shrink butt connectors. Now today I don't have the heat shrink ones just because we're doing this for demonstration purposes. But what that's going to allow you to do is keep any of that moisture from getting in there and damaging your wiring. But now, since I have that all spliced together, this just becomes a plug and play. And once I have everything connected, I make sure my power's back to the wires, I can check my lights, and there we have it. We're good to go. From there, just come back through and tighten this down the rest of the way in the direction you want it to sit. But really, that's all there is to it. And if you guys have any other questions, please let us know here at eTrailer. And again, I'm Matt, and thanks for watching.